We're ready now.
All right, good morning. We'll call the January 2nd Governance Committee meeting to order. Our next item on the agenda is to accept the minutes from the December 18th, 2024 meeting. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Minutes have been accepted. Now we open our meeting to public comment. If there's anyone who would like to address us, they have 5 minutes. We just ask that you give us your name and address. And seeing none, we'll close that section of the meeting. Just a point of clarification. We don't allow people to comment by virtue of Zoom now that that was only during COVID.
That was only, yeah.
So if you want to,
You have to be in person.
you have to be in person.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
So,
Insult is face to face.
Exactly.
so seeing none, we'll close that section of the meeting. I just want to make sure we're doing it
Essentially,
accurately.
those that are really on Zoom are usually those directly connected with the project.
And just
if they're
answering
out of the
questions or
area
making a
some reason
presentation,
can't- Yes,
right,
exactly.
okay. No, that's come up at other meetings
Yeah.
I've been at. There's still
Yeah,
some,
no,
I think it needs to be
I
clarified.
believe the regulations are you have to be in person if you're planning to do any public.
So we'll close the public comment section of the meeting and move on to our action items. First one is a review, discussion, recommendation of a resolution authorizing a leaseback transaction to facilitate the financing of the acquisition, renovation, and equipping of a property and building located at 214 Main Street in the Village of Johnson City to be used as a 2-story mixed-use building, and appointing Sun Development Team LLC, the company, agent of the agency for the purpose of acquiring, renovating, and equipping the project, and to provide for a sales and use tax exemption benefit in an amount not to exceed $20,000, to provide a real property tax exemption in an amount not to exceed $122,616, including and authorizing a payment in lieu of tax agreement deviating from the agency's uniform tax exemption policy, a copy of which is attached hereto as Exhibit A, and authorizing the execution and delivery of certain documents with respect thereto.
So yes, a refresher on this project, Sun Development Team. The project owner is Dave Whalen, who is leading this project. Today's action would approve the requested benefits as outlined in the resolution. Just a refresher on the project. This is essentially a downtown revitalization project in the Village of Johnson City, which includes the renovation of 7,200 square feet, 2-story mixed-use building to accommodate commercial and residential uses. It is at the corner of on Main Street, used to be the Health Beat, natural food store, if you're familiar with that area. The first floor covers 3,600 square feet of commercial space. Second floor consists of 3,600 square feet of residential space, which will be divided into 6 market rate apartments. Renovations will include both exterior and interior improvements. And it is anticipated the commercial space will accommodate 2 new commercial tenants, but could also accommodate 1 large user. And I apologize. It's noted here as workforce housing. The project is not seeking any formal credits or any programs through housing and community renewal. So I think it's just essentially where rates will be set per the developer on that. This project also was awarded funds through the DRI, which is the Downtown Revitalization Program implemented through New York State. The project received $450,000 in grant award from the DRI, which is reimbursable based on the satisfactory project completion pledged to Tompkins Community Bank. And with that, a public hearing was held on January 13th. You should have received transcript. I'd be happy to answer any questions. I don't know if Dave's on the line there. I see 1 phone number, maybe. I'm not sure who that is.
Hello, yes, it's Anthony Gertrude, just a member of Sun Development Team.
Okay, are there any questions for Anthony or Stacy regarding the project? Okay, is there a motion to approve?
I'll move it. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion is carried. Next, we have a review, discussion, recommendation of a resolution authorizing a sales and use tax exemption to be used for the acquisition and installation of a ZapX advanced robotic radial surgical machine to be located at 1020 Vestal Parkway East in the town of Vestal. Appointing NSSGP LLC, the company, agent of the agency for the purpose of acquiring and equipping the project and to provide a sales and use tax exemption benefit in an amount not to exceed $148,000 and authorizing the execution and delivery of certain documents with respect thereto.
Okay, this comes back to governance as the exemption amount was over $100,000, thus kicking in the requirement for a public hearing, which was held on January 9th. This project supports the purchase and acquisition and installation of the Zap X machine, which we learned about a month ago, that actually does do non-invasive surgery for the treatment of brain tumors. This installation is the first in the state and 30th in the world, so very unique niche piece of equipment here. As noted, the estimated value of this New York and local sales tax exemption is $148,000. This is led by Dr. Sethi and the Neurosciences Group on the Vestal Parkway, which we have previously provided sales tax exemption for fit out of the building that he's currently located in. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Like we said before, I just think this is great for Broome County because this is such a unique piece of equipment. It's definitely going to pull people in here without a doubt.
Absolutely.
Might, and I think it'd be another way to put us on the map because like you say, there's not that many of them in the world. So
Mhm.
it's a great investment. Any other questions or comments for Stacy? Is there a motion to approve?
Yes.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Next item on the agenda, review, discussion, recommendation of a resolution authorizing the agency to purchase a subscription for EnviroSite property risk map software from ADEX Solutions in the total amount not to exceed $5,000.
Yes, so this, for many months now, we've been talking with ADEX Solutions, which is a company located in the Broome Corporate Park. They actually purchased a building formerly owned by the IDA many years ago. They have a number of software products that they offer. They had approached us about the EnviroSite property risk map software, given how much we're doing with site development now and in the years ahead. I'm going to have Amy give you a little bit of a background on what the software does. It's very unique. It's very interesting software. We did do a demo with that. I think it just helps us as we do due diligence on a number of sites. So do you want to give a little walkthrough on exactly what that is used for?
I think this is really cool software. It might make me a little geeky, but it's especially pertaining to the environmental aspects, especially related to what we might need to do for assessments and cleanups. That's going to be able to help us identify, what properties are actually further along than we might think from just looking at them from the surface level. We'll be able to actually download reports on the properties that we look into, to be able to see, they pull from different government sources, private sources, any studies that have already been completed, and put together these really in-depth profiles of each site. This is going to be able to help us apply for more specific EPA grants to kind of let us know, what sites are already at the point where we're able to apply for a cleanup grant, because with our EPA grants, you're only able to apply for a grant that is either for assessment, for cleanup, or for technical assistance, and you kind of have to know going in what you're doing. So currently, right now, we do have an assessment grant that's coming to a close in the next year. So going forward, paired with that assessment grant, which only allowed us to do a few properties, this software is going to be able to allow us to apply for cleanup grants a little bit more strategically, being able to get those dollars out the door and the sites cleaned up for different site development. So it's pretty cool stuff. It'll also help us identify other EPA specific grants related to specific contaminants. So it'll tell us what contaminants they believe to be at the site. And will also kind of help with our site selection aspect, being able to know if we should be recommending something or not. To
I think,
ESG.
I think it'll be an effective tool that we can also work to support our municipalities as they're pursuing maybe different grant opportunities. I know the Village of Endicott's embarking on a 6-month BOA strategy, Brownfield Opportunity Area Plan. I don't know if I would say it's as complete as a phase 1. I think we would have
It's
to,
not quite,
yeah.
it's a phase 1, but it'll
but
let
it gives us some
know.
baseline information.
It'll give us some kind of information on those environmental recs, which would be what we need to even fill out a cleanup application. So while we're still filling out or finishing the phase ones, we can at least start the application for grant funds to be able to clean up some of these properties. So it's really cool. I think it's.
It sounds like they gave you almost everything you need for phase one,
It's
except
so
for
close.
the site visit.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. So we'll be able to also provide that information to our, firms that we
Yeah.
contract with, for that purpose, so they kind of also have an
Cross-reference.
understanding of what's going in to hopefully also accelerate those phase
So,
one.
and it checks all the state,
Yep.
data too, because it's possible that if phase one had already been
Exactly.
completed, even if phase two, it would have pulled that for you if
Yep.
it's in the public domain.
Yep, so it'll pull everything from state and federal records, so if you're, anything through the DEC's brownfield program or anything through the EPA's brownfield program, they'll be able to pull that, and then if another municipal entity, even at a local level, had completed a study and has it published somewhere, it would be able to pull for that data as well.
That could really see the value in it.
It's really cool stuff.
Yeah.
Does it provide interpretation of the data? Because that's so much, I mean, I've read a fair amount of phase one reports in my life and probably haven't understood any until I get to
I think
the.
that's where we would
Executive
rely on our
summary.
vendor, on
That's where,
our
yeah.
relationships. I think that's
But
where
it's
we. would-
highlighted,
yeah.
so you'd be able to look and it would highlight
It would highlight the
that
specific
there's some
issues.
concern.
Yeah.
And it'll drill down and tell us what the specific concerns are, but won't necessarily get too into the nitty gritty of.
So it's not
The
just
exact-
providing data and you have to know if that data is good or bad.
Right.
It's gonna categorize.
Yep, and it ranks, if we can put in like a number of sites and compare sites, based off their environmental concerns, we can see that one site is further along than another site. And it ranks them on like a color system, like based on safety, I forget what it is off the top of my head, but like dark orange is not great, you want something more in like the green, yellow end of the spectrum.
So it certainly can save time, potentially save cost when we're doing phase ones, I would think, but we still want to verify and give that resource to our firms that we work with.
Gives you a
on
heads
phase
up
one.
going in.
Gives us a little more info going, in, so we're not going in blindly. So.
I think for
For the-
$5,000.
for $5,000,
that sounds like a
yeah.
good deal.
mm.
We share it with local governments or are we restricted in the contract? I mean, can we?
I think it could be a nice service we can provide in partnership with them. So I think we could, run reports at their request certainly.
Yeah.
We have a certain number of seats.
I think
on
we
the
have, I was gonna
software.
say, I know
Oh,
there
okay.
was some, like, we get X amount of
Yeah, but it would probably. wouldn't be that much.
reviews based
Maybe
on,
because they have a unique
Yeah.
project, they could come to us.
yeah, exactly.
Seems like a good investment. Is there any other questions or comments? Is there a motion to approve? Is there a second?
Yes.
All in favor? Aye. Do you have any other new business?
I do not.
Is there a motion to adjourn? Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, return.
Thanks.
And the
A
cards.
few minutes.